Behind the Badge Illinois, giving you the inside scoop on public safety and those who protect and serve. Your real stories directly from law enforcement experts, and get a chance to ask questions about issues you've always wanted to know more about. You have the right to remain informed. This is Behind the Badge Illinois.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Badge Illinois. I'm your host, David Hochberg. This podcast is sponsored by Team Hochberg. If you're looking to purchase a new home, refinance your existing home, give me a call, 855-563-2843, or visit our website, 56david.com. Discounts for all first responders, their family, and everybody in the police and first responder, police, fire, and veterans. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's jump into it. We got Chief Leonis and Chief Bird. Chief is up in Lincolnshire. Chief Bird is out. Chief Leonis is up in Lincolnshire. Chief David Bird is out in beautiful DeKalb, Illinois, home of the Northern Illinois Huskies, my alma mater. And we have a special guest, Commander Jim Getz, who I want to make sure I get this right, Jim, from the Macon County. Is it Macon or Macon?
Macon
County Law Enforcement Training Center. So let's start with the chiefs to tee this up. Chief Leonis, you're the president of the organization, so let's start with you and show you a little respect as being the leader here. Why is training an integral part of becoming a law enforcement, a member of the law enforcement, and how do you go about selecting where to send your officers for training?
Okay, well, the first question's the easiest, because when anybody is hired as a new hire, not a lateral, coming from another police department, we have to train them up in the police academy, and that's what Jim does. Is he runs a police academy down in Macon County, and we have used several, I wouldn't say all, but several of the police academies over the years. We've used the local academies, which we call commuter academies. They're non-residential primarily. And they have a benefit that they're close, and some people with families, prefer that, where it's kind of like a job. You get there at 6 o'clock in the morning, you do your thing, you go home at 6 o'clock at night, you see your family, and you do the whole thing over again the next day. Macon County's unique, is one of the residential academies, where the cadets will, after they're hired, we send them down to Macon County. They do the power tests, they get into the academy. I'll let Jim talk about the details of that, but basically they stay the whole time. I think other than weekends, they used to be able to stay weekends. I'm not sure if they still can, but the cadets, or the police recruits rather, will go there, spend their entire time in the academy down in one location, sleep there, eat there, all that stuff, and then come back at the end. So there's basically two different models, and they both have their benefits depending on the department. And again, I send people down to Macon County. I think we were starting with the second class, if I'm doing my math correctly. And they continue to be a premier law enforcement academy. They're really good at what they do, and really all the academies are excellent. I'm not saying there aren't good academies, but we use Macon County for a few reasons. One, when they started up, we became what's, I guess, called like an exclusive member, where we have reserved seats every academy. When you dedicate to using one academy, you sort of get the benefit of having them cater to you a little bit, so you always know you have a spot. You don't have to compete for spots. And I'll tell you, that came up really handy during the pandemic and after the pandemic, because then everybody's trying to cram people into seats in the academy, and there was waiting lists, some up to a year long in some cases. Wow. And we had the benefit, since we had that agreement, of just getting people slotted right in. So that's one of the things. I'm not sure that that's still even a thing that Macon County offers or not, but and I'm not aware of any other academies that do that. But that's a benefit. Obviously, they have to go to the police academy, and then it's kind of dealer's choice where we send them. Chicago has an academy. I'll let Jim kind of talk about the structure across the state.
All right, Dave, how come you use these guys?
Well, of course, for me, my first love, the Illinois State Police. That's why I started. So I went through the academy. And then when I arrived to DeKalb, I guess I should circle back that a good friend of mine, Colonel Tad Williams, very pivotal in regard to the Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center. He's, of course, worked for the Illinois State Police. He retired, and then he went over to the Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center. And I know Jim can attest to this. He was very pivotal in, starting to get an academy where it is today. So he passed away not too long ago. And I just want to mention his name because he was, a good friend of mine. We worked together with Illinois State Police, and he was extremely passionate about the training of our law enforcement officers or candidates to be law enforcement officers. And he just did a great job with that. So, so when I got to DeKalb, they were already using Macon County, and I didn't know a lot about the training center at the time because, like I said, I'm more familiar with the Illinois State Police Academy, and then my brother, of course, is CPD, and so I know what the framework of their academy is as well. So I actually started sending all our officers to Macon County. They've been doing a great job for us. Professional training that we are looking for, and I think I've only had to expand outside of Macon County maybe once. I had maybe 8 or 9 candidates that were going to be recruits that I sent maybe 5 to Macon County. I sent another 3 or 4 to the State Police Academy, just so I can get them in uniform and get them on the street as fast as possible. So that was just one of those situations. But ever since then, I've been using Macon County. Jim and I have a great rapport, and and I like what they do there. I think they're definitely top-notch professional training facility, and they do an amazing job. So that's why I use them. Like I said, the officers that I have received have been fantastic. It's the first phase of their training is getting to the academy. These are all course controlled based scenarios that no one's losing their life during this training, but we're learning who they are and if they are able to actually perform professionally as police officers early on. And then once we get them, we put them through the field training program, and that's when the rubber meets the road, as you know, Dave. And it's just an extension of the academy, and then we'll hopefully, they'll make it through. So, but Jim starts it off with his people at the academy, and we appreciate everything they do.
All right, Jim, it's our Commander Getz. Let's throw it to you. Where is Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center located?
Okay, so if you know where Decatur, Illinois is, central Illinois, we're located in Decatur on the south edge of Decatur. We have about 30 acres of property our campus is set on, and so we've got 9 buildings. Not all those are dedicated to law enforcement. We also have Illinois Department of Corrections here, but my focus, because I manage the buildings for IDOC, but my focus is training new police officers, new correctional officers in the state. There's 7 police academies in the state. There are 3 correctional academies in the state that train corrections officers for the sheriff's departments. But I want to jump on Chief Bird real quick. This academy started, it came to fruition in about 2017, first classes in 2018. Without Colonel Williams doing the heavy lifting, it wouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't be such a great place to train the officers. So it's all about philosophy. So the chiefs they know what they want out of an academy, and so no knock on any other academies. They're all good, as Chief Leona said, but all of us have a little way of different operations. Mine is here at McCletsy is we want discipline. We also want the academics. We don't want to go overboard on discipline where they don't feel comfortable learning, and so we've got a good mix, and that's what we do. The recruits stay here from Monday through Friday. They get to leave on Friday nights and go home and spend their weekends with their families. My philosophy on academy with staying on campus is they can just focus on what they need to focus. I tell the recruits day one, you're not here to party. You're not here to make, it's not a dating game. It's about focusing on getting your certificate through the academy, walking across that stage and passing that state certification exam, and learning as much as you can here. That way you can put that to, as you know, when the rubber meets the road, apply those skills. So I let SPE, Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, they control our curriculum. However, there's some leeway there in how we teach it. We can use our personal experiences from our instructors. You know, all of them are retired or active law enforcement. You know, if they're teaching something in traffic stops, they can, you know, put in a personal experience they had when they made a traffic stop and apply it to the teaching that day. And so, and part of that too is just having that personalization, having the passion, because I don't want guys, I handpick every instructor down here. And if they're, and Tad had some, Colonel Williams had some here that were here, and I trust that he picked the best as well. We want people that are passionate. We don't want them here for a paycheck. We don't want them here just so they can yell at recruits and show that they've been on the department 30 years or whatever it is. We want people passionate about teaching the recruits to do it the right way. And so we do the 640-hour curriculum, but then something that we add to it, we live by here, it's called PRIDE, public service, respect, integrity, discipline, and excellence. We want these guys not only to be good police officers, we want them to be good people. We want them to be servants to their community. So if you go in and you're on third shift, go in to do your shift, but we want you to also understand there's times where you may have to get back to the community outside your regular shift, and we want them to understand that and do it in a respectful manner, regardless if they're dealing with the lowest financial person in their jurisdiction or the richest person in their jurisdiction, no matter where they live at. And so that's what we really want to get across here. Yep, you have to know this 640 hours of training, but we also want you to treat people the right way.
How many members or how many seats do you have per academy or per session? What's the per class? But what's the proper terminology?
Yeah. So we run 3 basic law enforcement classes per year, the BLE classes. They're 16 weeks long. We usually shoot for about 80 in a class. We'd like to have more, but we also run the corrections, so we have to say, I'm living on bed space, and so we try to do about 80 law enforcement, 40 to 50 correctional officers, and that's how we do that. So that's where we come up with the numbers.
And Chief Leonis, how do you select your officers? So you hire them first, right? Yeah. And then you send them to Macon County. Is that how, you know, for our viewers and listeners that don't know how that works, what's the procedure? You know, interview, hire, pass something up here, then go down there, or you know, what's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps?
Yeah, I'll go through quickly, and Jim or Dave can correct me along the ways, because it has changed over the years, and some states are different. Some states you put yourself through the academy. Basically, it's like going to college. You go get your certificate, you come out, and then you try to get a job. Similar to like a nursing degree or something like that, where you get certified. This is a little different. Illinois wants you sponsored, so you have to be hired. You get the job first. So you apply to whatever department you choose to apply to, and there's a lot of variety of ways of doing that. Generally, it's online. There's bunch of different websites you can go that sort of collaborate, and so there's groups of law enforcement agencies that are hiring. You choose those, and you go through their process. Our process in Lincolnshire is unique because of our community and because of we're home rule. So many years ago, we opted out of the standard process. And so what we do now is we just accept a resume, and that's it, and the letter, you know, of request. So we interview. It's sort of like the FBI. You put in for us. We want the best. We don't have a list. We have what I guess would be called a rolling application. We're always hiring, and we're always taking applications. When we have a spot open, we go to that drawer, we pull out the applications, and then we look at people and we interview them. We go through about 3 different interview processes. We start off with our employees, and we try to include our youngest recruit, somebody who's brand new, as one of the interview panel, because they've just went through the police academy. They kind of know what it's like. And once the employees go through their interview process, we do a ride along. Our FTOs, our field training officers, are skilled at figuring out if the person's a fit, if they can do the tasks. We've eliminated people, probably the majority of them, through the ride along because they don't realize it's a job interview. And some of the things they say candidly, their remarks are like, well, we're not doing that. As Jim said, you're here to work, you're not here just to coast. And then after that, they'll go through a couple other interviews. I'm the last interview. I make the choice to hire. We do the conditional job offer. There's a series of tests, psychological screenings, polygraph, all that background, detailed stuff. Once they go through the gauntlet of all that, then we ship them off to the police academy and they're gone. And then they come back after that, and then they go through the normal field training process.
Dave, is yours similar type of process up in DeKalb?
Actually, no, we're a little bit different. We are home rule as well, but we have a police fire commission who is involved with our hiring. So we have 3 residents from DeKalb. They have to live in the city of DeKalb. Most of them are professional. In the case right now, the 3 we have a dentist, we have a funeral home director, and we have a retired professor. So, I mean, you have these, these 3 people are on this commission along with the chief. So they take there's a test that they take once they decide. Right now, we're in the hiring phase right now in DeKalb. It's on our, we put it on Blue Line, which is a law enforcement kind of hiring database. You can find it on Glassdoor, any of these other places. We put it, of course, up on our city site, the DeKalb Police Department website. Wherever we can push our link, we do it. And then we see how many entries we have. There's a standardized test that they kind of take. This gives them a score there. We bring them in for a interview with the Police Fire Commission. They get a score there. We combine these scores and then we develop a list. So we do this maybe twice a year, depending on our manpower issues at the time. So right now we're in this phase. So I'll be doing interviews probably in August. We're going to interview probably 40 to 50 candidates, and we'll develop a list off of that. And then we start from the beginning at the top. We start doing a background check, and then we go through, like Joe said, there's a gauntlet of hurdles that they have to make it through, starting with the background check, polygraph, the psych exam. So there's several different procedures that they'll have to get through before they get to the point where we're going to hire them. So once they get through all that, Dave, we actually hire them, and then we, of course, send them over to the Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center for their training. And then, and the good thing about it, especially with Commander Getz staff, they're, like I said, they communication between the center and the police departments is fantastic. If there's a problem, believe me, Commander Getz is on the phone saying, hey, we might have an issue with one of your candidates. This is some of the things we're seeing. And then if everything is hunky-dory and things are going fine, then we probably won't hear from Jim, so we know things are going well. But so a little bit different process than Chief Leone has up in Lincolnshire. Is just because we do have a commission that actually is involved in the hiring and in developing that list. Although final decision really comes down to the chief of police. After all the background psych polys are done, I get the final call, so which is good.
Got it. I think I like your new name, Chief Leone S. I like that. That's I think we're sticking. I think we're sticking with it. That's all right, Dave. No, Dave. No, it's good. It works better.
Oh, look, you do it all the time, so don't.
I know I do it. I wanted you to welcome me to the fraternity.
Be a part of this group. I get it.
I know that you're of the mispronounced word first and last name fraternity now. Welcome.
Okay, as the
Hi, Joe.
As the president of said fraternity. All right, Commander Getz, how many different, okay, so we've got DeKalb, right, which is 60, 80 miles west of Chicago. You've got Lincolnshire, which is 30 miles north of Chicago, right? And that's just two. How many towns throughout the great state of Illinois, which is gigantic, are you working with? Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 200? How many different towns are sending you their candidates?
Yeah, each class is different based on the needs of each agency, but over a year period, we'll work with 150 different agencies in the state of Illinois. And we go, I think the furthest north we have is up on the Wisconsin border, that Zion area up there. We go down all the way to Alton, west to Galesburg and Quincy. And then we don't have a lot on the east end of the state, but that's about the areas we're covering we have right now.
So walk me through the initial gathering of the candidates, right? We got 80 seats. Chief Leonias says, hey, I got 2 candidates that passed through our system. Chief David Byrd is said he's got 2 coming. So now we got 2 out of the 80 seats. We got 76. And then they start filtering it, right? All of a sudden, okay, you got a full class, you got 80, registrations booked, everybody's registered, checked, rechecked, quadruple checked. This is when you're going to arrive. Here's what happens. Do they get a welcome email from you? Hey, welcome candidate, arrive. Walk me through, so everybody that's thinking about joining either Lincolnshire or DeKalb, what the process is after they pass the stringent front end, right? Now they got to go through the grinder, right? What's it like after getting the, all right, candidate Hochberg, you're going to Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center for the next 16 weeks. Commander Getz is going to reach out. Now they pass it over to you. What happens there?
Yeah, so it really starts about a month before the academy starts. The chiefs will send down their recruits that they've identified that they want to come to the academy. They come down and do an early power test, which is a physical fitness test. It's a 1.5 mile run. It's a bench press, sit and reach, and sit-ups. And so once they pass that, we send them back home, and then they report about a month later. And so the ones that couldn't make it to the early power test, which sometimes that happens, agencies may be a little bit behind of where we're at for our timing. We have usually about 20 that show up the check-in day to do the power test on check-in day, which sucks for them because, you know, it's a challenging day already. And now I add the pressure of having to pass that physical fitness test that first day. So first day they come in and check in. The ones that have taken the early power test, we get them up to the classroom. We start, you know, basically explaining what the rules are while they're here at the academy, what the goal is. And that is focus on academics, learning, graduation, stay out of trouble, being a good person, all those good things. The ones that haven't taken the early power test, they've got to take the power test and pass. For the early power test and the power test on check-in day, the state rules say they can retake after 48 hours, but prior to 72 hours. So you got a 48-hour to 72-hour window to retest them. And we don't have to do that, but we do it for all of them. We got, you know, you have somebody that fails a sit-up by one, you know, you want to give them another opportunity. But most departments send their people ready to pass a power test. That's usually not an issue. Every once in a while, it's no different than taking a written test. These guys will get 30 sit-ups in, and they're so nervous they just lock up. And so that's the first thing they do. Then we get them in the classroom. We issue them. They wear a McCletsy. So I'll say from saying Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center over and over, we go by the acronym of McCletsy. And so we give them a McCletsy uniform, which is a polo shirt, you know, work pants. Of course, it's got boots. We got a name tag with their name on it. Then we get them checked into the dorms, show them where the room is, and then we show them how to make their bed, how we want everything stored. It's a paramilitary type thing. We want all the rooms looking alike, all the beds made every day, and that's just, you know, to get them to start paying attention to detail. Because guess what? That's what they're going to have to put in their reports. When they go on a crime scene or they're handling a call for service, they've got to pay attention to detail. So here it starts day one, and that's just with making your bed and having your uniform squared away and having your room squared away, things like that. And then that following, they check in on a Sunday, the next day's Monday, and classes start that Monday. We got 16 weeks to get through a 640-hour curriculum that the state gives us, and so day one we're in the classroom.
How many sit-ups are required?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, I think the age of 21 to, I think it's a cutoff is what, 27. The young folks, the young males, I think it's like 34 sit-ups in a minute. Right
I
around
lock up after the second one. So
most of them are close. The sit-ups is probably the biggest failure we have, though.
Really?
Believe it or not.
I didn't know that.
One that washed out on the sit-ups. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
That's why I don't
Honest to run.
Yeah, that's why I'll never become a law enforcement. The sit-ups is never my strong.
That's
So
the
the
reason,
first-
Dave. That's
Yeah,
the
well,
reason.
psychological and Horseshack test. And I see things in the ink blots. I didn't mean to cut you off, Commander Getz.
Yeah, so that day one, they start class, and I always tell the recruits that get used to it. The first 6 to 7 weeks, it's classroom every single day, because they have to know the law, they have to know communication, how to talk to people, your constitutional rights, and we give mentally ill, dealing with mentally ill people. Just all these classes they have to have before they can go out and apply this stuff. So they've got about 6 or 7 weeks where they're in the classroom about every day. And then we get them out, we start doing firearms training, we do defensive tactics training, we start doing our scenario-based training. So now they get to start applying what they learn in a real-time environment. So
if nobody's ever picked up a gun and they wanted to become a member of law enforcement, a member of a Lincolnshire, officer in Lincolnshire, officer in DeKalb, Northbrook, where I live, anywhere, right? And they've never shot a gun, held a gun, or had any interaction with a gun. Obviously, it's part of the job. How quick have you had any candidates that have never used a gun or touched a gun go through the academy? And what's that transition like with getting them comfortable holding a gun, cleaning a gun, loading a gun, shooting a gun? What's that all about?
Well, the chiefs will probably agree with me on this one. A recruit that's never touched a gun before is probably the easiest one to train. You have no bad habits to work them out of. The only thing that's maybe the tougher challenge with nobody that's ever touched a gun is just that confidence that they're handling it safely. Other than that, most of your range instructors, firearms instructors will tell you that the easiest ones to train are the ones that really have had no training before.
Yeah, that was me, Dave. I didn't ever hold a gun before I went into the police academy.
Really?
Wasn't something on my radar to do. I kind of lucked into the job, as it were. But yeah, it was the first time when I went to Cook County Academy. And as we said, it was basically, they taught you two things: how to shoot a gun and how to fight. That was about it. And then you were on your own. Of course, the academy was only, I think, about 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know what it was back in 1990.
Yeah,
Come along. How about you, Dave?
Yep, same thing. I had never fired a weapon before I walked into Illinois State Police Academy, and I agree with Jim. Same thing the range officer said back then. I started in '89, and the range officers, the guys who had been shooting, some of them had bad habits. They had to reverse. But for someone like me who grew up on the south side of Chicago, I know it's probably shocking that I never touched a firearm, but I didn't. And even back,
a lot of them go off, right?
Well, I will say now, I grew up in I was born in '67, so we didn't have as much shooting as they do now. Of course, it wasn't anywhere like that. I'll be honest. I grew up in a different time, but there still were firearms around. I don't think I ever saw one.
Wow.
Truly, when I was young, I just never, we just didn't have them around us. So I think, like Jim said, I agree with that. Coming in fresh, clean, no bad habits is a good thing. So
I will say, though, that the gun type that we used, Dave, I don't know how you were, but we had wheel guns or pistols. So that I had a Colt Python 357 6-shooter. And the semi-automatic pistol was not a thing. There was maybe a few with them, but we all learned on the wheel gun, which I would say is harder to shoot because of the revolver's, mechanisms, or at least it felt like. Of course, it was my first time, but it was shooting a cannon.
Yeah.
And so if you could figure that out, The semi-automatics are super easy.
A buddy of mine took me to a range up by Gurnee, started me with the 22 all the way up to his 357. And that, my God, that is a load of a gun.
It's a
I'm like,
lot.
damn, that's a lot of that's a big gun. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you watch when we got to the Remington shotgun, boy, it was really
Oh, yeah.
a sight to see for some people.
Yeah.
You know, if you're small in stature, you better get ready. You better put your shoulder into it because
Oh, it wouldn't matter. You would have such a
you're gonna have
bruise
some bruising
regardless.
no matter what. But
Yeah.
I mean, the bigger guys held off better. You got more weight behind you. You got more strength. I
Yeah.
had a classmate of mine, a young she was a small female, and man, it did a number on her. So
Yeah.
So Jim,
Different
take
times.
us through now. They're down there. They're building camaraderie, right? Because you're in a dorm. It's becoming, social. What telltale signs are you looking for to see, hey, this guy or gal ain't gonna make it, right? What kind of signs are you looking for, or show up that you're not even looking for but are just there? They're breaking down, they're having trouble with this or the other thing. What have you seen with your experience running the training center that is a telltale sign that this candidate's not going to make it?
Yeah, so you got the regulars, your academics take care of themselves. They have to have a 70%, maintain a 70% while they're here. And then their firearms, they have to meet 80% on their qualification. The other stuff that we look for is being able to get along with others. That's a big thing because if you can't get along with people that are in the same field as you, or you're around those folks and you create problems, that's probably going to be a problem for the agency. And we've had a few of those. Because I tell the recruits day one, if you can't get along with your roommate or your roommates can't get along, or you can't get along with somebody in your squad or platoon or whatever, you can't solve problems. Your agency's hiring you to solve problems. So that stands out to us. We've had, we don't allow drinking while you're on campus. We will give them a liberty once a week. They're not to drink alcohol. And I know Chief Bird knows this from ISP. That wasn't allowed there either. But we had a recruit come back one time just drunk off her butt from a 3-hour liberty, and so that was automatic dismissal, and definitely calling the chief saying, hey, you probably got lucky on this one because she probably would have drank while she was on duty if she couldn't stay away from the alcohol at that point. We've had remarks that were racial in nature that we've came across, that happen in the dorms at night. Somebody will come to us and say, recruit Getz said, this last night, and we felt this was, and we follow up on it, and sure enough, it was said. We send the folks home, but those are things we look for: is the integrity things, and just are they going to get along with others well? The other part of that is I will say we're not here to wash out police recruits for the agencies. If we identify an integrity issue or a drinking issue or something, behavior issue, we will bring it to course. But other than that, if they're weak on report writing, we're just going to reach out to the chiefs and say, hey, you're going to have to work with them on the report writing when they get back. Maybe they don't handle the scenario the exact way we would. We may take it to the chief or the training person for that agency and say, hey, they really struggle with officer presence during scenarios. And that way they know that going in, but we're not going to wash them out because of that, because it takes some people longer than others. There's some recruits that come to an academy and maybe not be the shining star, but 2 years down the road, they're a great police officer. So we don't want to be that. And I was a chief in their position, and I don't want to be the one that fires somebody or pulls somebody from the academy, because I know how hard it is to get good people. But if we see an integrity issue, somebody's a liar, they're a bad person, they can't get along well with others, we're going to notify that agency, hey, we got a problem here. But other than that, we're just going to say, hey, you might want to look at these things when they get back, or have your FTO focus on this. We went as far as saying, we'll give suggestions to the training folks for an agency, say, hey, when this person gets back, you probably want this type of FTO with them. Just because, you're going to have somebody that's patient. Or if we got a recruit that's very aggressive, we're gonna say, hey, you're gonna wanna have an FTO that can control this aggressiveness a little bit. And so that's that's the way I feel what we should be doing here at the academy.
So Chief Leonis, when they come back, right? They've gone through the 16 weeks of meat grinding down there, right? They passed their physical test. They passed their marksman test. They passed their mental acuity test. Chris and his team, Commander Getz and his team have been beating the crap out of them for 16 weeks, looking for looking for cracks. And let's face it, you could hide something for maybe a week, 2 or 3, 5, or you can't hide it for 4 months, right? I mean, you got to be really good to be able to hide, your whatever deficiency you have. If you're a closet racist, if you're a closet drunk, if you're a closet drug user, if you're a closet aggressive person, to get through all of the things to get down there. But 16 weeks is a long time, right? So made it through. They gone through the process down in Macon County. Now they come back to you and Dave. You're in Lincolnshire, Dave's in DeKalb. What happens then? Okay, are they taken to City Hall and given their badge, or do you put them through some more scrub downs? Take us through that. Commander Getz does their 16-week process down there, graduates them back to you. What do you do? Then I'll throw it over to Dave.
Oh,
I think
well, for us, I mean, we give them, so
All
they.
right, I'll throw it to Dave, and then I'll come to you, Joe.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead, go.
No. Go ahead.
You said my name. So,
go ahead. You're up, bud.
all right. So it was, I mean, we swear them in ahead of time, so they have their badges before they leave. So they're already hired. They're a member of the DeKalb Police Department, and until we say different, or until the training academy sends us some information that we might want to walk out of that relationship. But for the most part, they are members of the DeKalb Police Department. They're getting paid, and like I said, they'll once Jim says, hey, they've qualified, they have met their burden with the training academy, and they're worthy to move on to the field training program, which we put them through as soon as they get out of they graduate on a Friday at the training center, and then most of the time some of those recruits are police officers on the street by Sunday. So and they're already working with the field training officer, and now this, like we said, this when it gets real. You're talking about a controlled environment at the training academy. Like I said, no one's getting hurt. No one's going to lose their life there. But now it becomes real, and all that training that they received at the training academy, now they have to put it into real action, and that's with the field training program. So and that usually lasts up to maybe 12 to 14 weeks. Some people get an early release if they're really doing well. We'll have a good idea when we hear back from Commander Getz and his team who those people might be, who might be eligible for early release if they can show that they can do that with the field training program. It doesn't happen often though, Dave. Most new officers need every week of training that they can get, but every now and then you have someone who just rises to the top, and they just pick up on all the systems. They have the work ethic that's needed to move on a little earlier through the program, but it doesn't happen often.
So is that the same with you, Joe, out in Lincolnshire?
Yeah, I think we probably have the same model in terms of field training. They go with several field training officers over about a 3-month period. I will say that expectations are that they're coming out of the academy. It's kind of like elementary school, and I don't mean that a negative, but it's like they know the fundamentals that we can then build on. And in the olden days, they used to make a joke saying, the FTOs would come in and say, forget everything you learn in the academy. I'm going to teach you the way it really happens. We never say that. We're building on the skill set that they're learning. It's high level learning in the police academy. Again, the critical thinking skills that they're developing, maybe sometimes for the first time, because maybe they're fresh out of college or whatever. We're building on what they learned. The tough thing is, we don't expect them to have the knowledge of an attorney, you know, a defense attorney that's been to law school and been practicing for 10 years. We expect them to have better knowledge than them. You know, that's the reality, is they have to know the law better than the defense attorneys and everybody else in a very short order. So the law, the legal side of it's very important. The elements of the crime, the rules of evidence, these are things you cannot screw up. You cannot, you know, when you're doing evidence collection, you can't do it a second time. Once you've screwed it up, it's gone. So there's some things where there's intensity for training, pursuit policy, use of force policy. You can't screw that up day one. In fact, you need to, you know, there's a duty to intervene law in Illinois. And you can, day one, you may be asked to step in and stop a veteran officer from doing something. We have those conversations day one when they get back saying you are now a police officer, you're in training, but there's certain expectations that the public has that we have that are not negotiable. That said, we have had to work with people who, mostly it's geography. They don't know the streets. They've never been to our community. They have, you know, and our streets are all screwed up. So there's a lot of things they have to learn. The command presence, I think somebody mentioned, is something that they're going to get skilled on. Hopefully, these are for the most part younger adults, and they're going to be in environments with older adults, maybe bigger than them, smarter than them, and they have to have the command presence to command the scene and tell people what to do and know how to do. You know, 95, maybe even 99% of the time, they don't need to yell at anybody because they already have assumed command. But that few percentage times where people need to be told what to do, when to do it now. They better have the ability, you know, they have to be, when they show up, they're in charge, whether it's a crash scene, a domestic, or a theft report. People have two expectations when a police officer shows up, and that is, one, they're competent, they know what they're doing, and two, they care. And if they can just do those two things, that's 99% of it. The fighting and the shooting and all that stuff has to be there when it's necessary. And we have had to let go of folks that froze up in encounters of force where they weren't able, like they basically just, they were in a fight, they didn't know it. And they weren't able to come to the aid of others or something like that. And in some cases you can work through that, but in a lot of cases that's sort of that make it or break it moment. And it's tough to see. But then we'll usually talk to the recruits afterwards and we'll say, you know, is this job for you? We've even had people say after week one, unfortunately,
Yep.
we've had people, Jim can
Not
say,
for me.
you know, we've had people in the academy, day 3 in the academy, say this isn't for me. So I respect that. I like that better. Unfortunately, it's an investment we've already made, you know, in their time and all that stuff. We have cut back on uniforms as a result of this. We don't buy them winter gear until winter, and we don't buy them short sleeves until summer. But there are moments where we've worked with people that were not good and they've gotten really good and they've become officer of the year. We've also worked with people that we thought were really, really good and they just were not made for it. And you know, they'll do good in some other area, or maybe it wasn't our department. Maybe they'll go somewhere else that's more suited for them. So it's really, I guess the answer to your question is it depends. It really is an art more than a science. And you hate to let go of anybody unnecessarily, but you have to be willing to do that. These days, gone are the days where you just take a warm body. And I don't care what department you're at, even CPD, you can't take warm bodies. You need people that know what to do, how to do it for the right reasons, aren't going to get in trouble. And that, when I say in trouble, I mean make the wrong decision for the wrong reason, for all the things we've talked about. It's a complex job. It's one of the best jobs on the planet, but it's not for everybody.
So, Commander Getz, I'm going to end with this. You know, I give you the last word. You know, we just went over, you know, training. You've got interview process could take 1 to 2 months up front, right? By the time you get through all the interviews and the whatever, you know, DeKalb and Lincolnshire and the other police forces put their candidates through, they get down to you, that's 4 months. They come back up to their
Police
Thank you. Their respective police departments in the towns that sent them down, they're going to be with an FTO for 3 to 4 months. So, as a commander of a training center, one of the prestigious training centers here in the great state of Illinois, if not the country, if not the world. When you get, you're welcome. When you get when you're graduating your candidates and you put them through your 680 some hours, what's the final thing in their graduating ceremony that you tell them to be like, hey, you're never done training, right? You're going to come with the foundation that we gave you. You're going to go back to your police departments that sent here. You're going to be with an FTO, field training officer, for another 3 to 4 months. And then from there, so what's your advice as the commander of the Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center for graduating candidates before they go back, and for anybody thinking about becoming a member of law enforcement here in Illinois?
Yeah, both the chiefs said on it earlier. We're going to do the basics here, but on their way out the door, we tell them you're going to ride with FTOs. You're going to be assigned to different trainings at your department. Take a little bit from each one of those FTOs that you like. What they're doing. What is it they're doing that works for you? What training point when you got back to your agency and maybe you went to a report writing class, or you went to a use of force class, or you went to a verbal judo class, de-escalation. What in that training, keep an open mind, what in that training you think applies to something you do every day and become good at that. We're not telling you to mimic one FTO or 2 FTOs. Take a little bit from everybody. Always keep an open mind. If you're 5, and my key to them is, and these guys will attest to this as chiefs of police, about 5 years in, that's when a lot of our police officers, they kind of hit a point, they've been doing this for 5 years. It's the toughest part it's that time frame where it's really tough for them, because they've been doing this for 5 years, and it's like, okay, do I really want to continue to do this, or do I want to do something else? And so that 5 years is the big thing. So I always tell them at that 5-year point, reevaluate everything, continue, but you've got to continue to pick up a little bit from every little training you have. Don't think you've known it all. Don't become cynical to society. Remember what you signed up for. You signed up to serve the public. I asked them day one when they come in here, in your interview, were you asked why you want to become a police officer? And all of them raise their hand, yes. And then I say, do all of you say it's to serve the public or some type of response like that? All of them raise their hand, yes. And so I tell them, at year 5, when you're struggling with this job because it's just tough, and it's that kind of the turning point, decision-making time for you as a 5-year officer, remember what you said at that interview. And that's what it's about. It's about serving the public, but don't be closed-minded to learning. You don't know it all. I did the 20-some years on the PD. These guys, these 2 chiefs got more time than I do. And I'm telling you, I learn every day as a chief of police, and I know these guys do too. And so that's what we try to instill on the recruits. And one of the other things here, and one of the chiefs hit on it, is, man, they might graduate here on a Friday and they're on the street on a Sunday. Some of them aren't with an FTO. We have sheriff's departments that maybe only a 5-unit department, and these guys are on the street on a Sunday or Monday by themselves without an FTO. And so we try to we do the basics here, but we try to train for the one that's going to get the least amount when they get back to their agency.
You want to end it, Chiefs? Thank you, Commander Getz. Do either one of the Chiefs want to end it with the cherry on top?
I was just going to piggyback what Joe was talking about earlier, and I know Jim does everything he can to simulate some of the real-time events and situations, incidents they want to deal with. But we talk about command presence. There's some candidates who have never been in a fight in their life when they come in to be a police officer. No fault of their own. It's a good thing. I mean, that means you lived in an area maybe where you didn't have to deal with these type of conflicts. However, it does come into play. And they have to, I think Joe said, they have to be able to flip that switch. They got to have it in them, though. I mean, like, if they don't have it in them, then you're going to run into a problem. Unfortunately, some people who have gotten in fights when they were kids, growing up, it's helped them. And that's just one part of it that can help them when it comes to these real complex, serious aggressive situations that occur that police officers have to deal with on a regular basis. So that's the one thing that I know. I know Jim tries to, when down at the academy, like I said, he tries to build a scenario that is almost lifelike, so we can see if they have that switch, and if they can come from, we don't want to change who they are as a person. Be who you are. We want you to be the kind, loving, whatever, fun-loving personality you have. But there are people out there on the streets in real life that are going to come for you, and you have to be ready for that, and you have to have that presence. So I thank Jim for that, for getting those guys prepared for the ones who have never had that situation arise in their life, to deal with it when they come and hit the street. So thank you again, Commander Getz, for getting on. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. It's a great thing you guys are doing, and just educating the people is a big deal.
Yep.
Joe, you want to throw something else in there, bud?
I was just gonna respond. Jim said, people ask what in the interview why they want to become a cop, and I hear mostly people say they want to help people. And what I tell them is, you are going to help people. You just won't know it.
Yeah.
You underestimate the impact you have on people every single contact, because you take for granted all the common calls that you go to. But people are going to remember you and tell that story about a traffic crash or an incident involving you for the rest of their lives. That's a very impactful moment. Very few times are people going to come back and say thank you. But you just have to know in your heart that that's the person you've helped every single time.
Outstanding. All right. Well, listen, this has been another exciting episode of Behind the Badge Illinois. Special shout out and thanks to Commander Getz down at the Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center in outside of Indicator, or outside of on the outskirts of Decatur.
We're considered Indicator, but we're on the south end.
South end of the mean side of Decatur, on the mean streets of the south end of Decatur. Thank you, Chief Leonis and Chief Byrd, and thanks for watching, everybody.